My name is Doug Medley. I'll start off with a quick introduction of who I am, give you a little bit of background on my qualifications to talk about this topic. I think sustainability is a great topic we should all be paying attention to. So sustainability itself has a real definition. It was from this Brundtland report in 1987, and by the general definition of sustainability, it means sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. That's quite a mouthful. It's hard to interpret what that means. A common breakdown is to say renewing resources at a rate equal or greater to that which is being consumed. So that's kind of the more colloquial understanding of it. And then there are several models. There's the three-pillar model, which there's a couple ways to represent that, which I've shown there on the screen, where you look at your social, environmental, and economic. These are all great topics. These are great things we need to know, but we live in an industrial environment, and how does that apply to us? In an industrial environment, sustainability is more of a process engineered solution that's typically used to increase your operational efficiency. So sustainability is always going to be part of a process, and we're going to focus on that a lot. It's kind of a continuous improvement process that's developed over time. So it's not like you're just going to walk into a plant and go, oh, there's the problem, we're going to fix it. You have to work on it. And I like to think of it from an engineering perspective, from the conservation of energy theorem. Energy can never be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed or transferred to another form. So we're really not making anything. There's stuff is not really made. It's reworked. It's manipulated. It's changed in its shape or form. So I like to use what I call the product process equation, and it's where we take all you guys are taking some raw material, you're doing something to it, you're doing some work to it through energy. It's taking labor to do that. You separate out the scrap or the waste at the end, and at the end, your widgets go out the door as finished goods. So the goal of industrial sustainability is obviously to minimize the inputs on the left-hand side of this equation and to maximize the outputs on the right-hand side of the equation. And that in itself is the definition of industrial sustainability. So being sustainability, if you think about it from the equation we just looked at, it's good business. I think we want to, we're all in business to make money, to make money for our shareholders, to make money for our employees, to keep the plant operating. So it's always good. So if you can make your product that you're selling with less raw material in, and understand that things like air and water are also raw materials, if your commodities coming in the door are lower, then you're saving money, you're operating more sustainably. If you're using your energy more efficient, your gas, your electric, your solid fuels, your steam, whatever your prime movers are, if you're using those more efficiently, you're lowering your operating costs. Those also fall directly in line with being more sustainable. One of the things that often gets overlooked also is if you're reducing your production and or maintenance labor through automation, process monitoring, machine uptime, those things are making you more efficient, and that's making you more sustainable. And then the last part of that equation is reducing the output waste and scrap, whether that's a recycle, reuse, resale, or just using less of it is a more way of operating sustainably. So operating sustainably, in my view, is directly proportional to operating efficiently. If you are operating efficiently, then your sustainability score goes up, and vice versa. And a word that gets kicked around a lot is operational excellence. And I feel that operating sustainably is the way that you achieve operational excellence. You're never going to get there unless you're controlling that equation that we just talked about above. For most industrial plants, though, it often starts with monitoring. Monitoring your process is really critical to improving your process. There are no shortage of companies, and I've been involved in a lot of these efforts over the years, of software companies looking to monitor things like input material, inventory management, labor allocation, material maximization, and we integrate a lot of those. The big names out there today, Flexware, Sepasoft, MindSphere, these are all things that do that. They understand, they track your process and what's going on. But very few facilities really look at one of the big parts of that equation is the energy part of it. And the monitoring is not there. There are softwares out there that help track that. We can help integrate those software, but one really needs to start looking at monitoring and tracking. Most of the facilities I go in, I would say less than 50% can even tell me what their monthly electric bill is. So if you are missing that, and some of these plants, the electric bill can be $300,000 a month. Some plants, it's $1 million a month. Even if it's $70,000 a month, it's a lot of money. We should be tracking that and trying to minimize that. Same with gas, even less than the electric. Most people have very little idea what their gas bills are, or their water bills even more. But I think I like to use this term as using energy as an ingredient. And if we start thinking of energy as an ingredient, if you were just using breading on a chicken nugget and you were dumping bags on the ground, someone would probably get upset. But at the same time, a lot of that goes on with energy, where energy just gets completely wasted out the back door. So monitoring that energy and making that energy be an ingredient to your final product out the door is where you want to kind of be. So where should you be looking for all this? A lot of this will get done through process automation. Process control and repeatability through automation is definitely part of being sustainable. If your process is repeatable every day, your waste goes down, your raw material goes down, your energy goes down, all these things end up being more efficient. And again, efficiency equals sustainability, so you should be sustainable in that. Other large areas that you can look at are your consumption. You should really start to monitor the buzzword in the industry is the wages, the water, the air, the gas, electricity, steam. All these things should be monitored. You guys should have real-time understanding of where you're spending your dollars. And like I say, companies spend a real great amount of effort monitoring labor and raw materials, but typically they just accept utilities as being a cost of doing business. And I would say that you're never going to achieve true sustainability if your opinion is it's a cost of doing business. You can start to create some representative data to share with your employees. Dashboards are like all the rage right now. Everybody likes to have a dashboard, and you can put real-time data on the dashboard so people can see what's going on, or you can set your dashboards up per product being manipulated, product being produced. I can remember back close to 30 years ago working in a plant where we had a dashboard that was a bunch of paper that people would stick up and show what the orders were in, what the orders were in process, and what the orders were out the back door. When you create a new, modern dashboard, you can do that with a screen. You can put all that kind of data up there, and you can add your energy in there so people would understand what's going on. Then you can also grow this even further, and we have done a couple of projects on this where facilities want to start billing individual departments or lines or units or processes a monthly internal energy bill. So if the plant utility meter reads $100,000 per month of electric, how much does the maintenance department get billed? How much does production line 1 get billed? How much does production line 2 get billed? How much does mill and mix get billed? You can start creating these type of monthly energy use per department, and then supervisors in those areas typically want to start to reduce those operating costs. They will start to be more proactive in paying attention to it. I think this is a great way to control usage in your facility. And these are all sustainable solutions that are part of the process of making your plant more sustainable. The other thing I would say is to look and listen. Often the lowest hanging fruit, it screams at you every day. Everything in your plant that is noisy, loud, leaky, gaspy, sucky, flashy, oscillating, everything that makes a noise like that is a loss. These are an inefficiency. Learned this in engineering school. This is kind of true in the real world. You should always be trying to fix these things. If something's screaming at you, take care of it. It's just telling you it needs fixed. I pictured there to the right is a vacuum pump that was at a plant. They had I think 4 of those vacuum pumps. They were 75 horsepower or 100 horsepower, that size range, so pretty good load. And they had been leaking for so long and so much water that the footings on the motors, or the concrete, was getting eaten away by the cooling water for the vacuum pump. But that didn't happen yesterday. That is a years-long inefficiency running that should be fixed. And obviously that's going to lead to upstream savings, plus probably make your process be more efficient. Might even be able to take one of those 4 pumps out of service and run off of 3. All those kind of things help save you money at the end of the day. In summary, sustainability is a solution you should want. You should definitely want this because it's good for your plant. Sustainability is a process, it's not a thing. It should be as much an aspirational goal as a single change. You should never come to the end and say we're done, we're sustainable now. Wherever your sustainability goals are today, they should grow if you reach them for this year and grow them for next year. They should always get better. Sustainability is always about making your operations as efficient as possible. That's, I think, a pretty straightforward message. Sustainability should always be data-driven. It should be very transparent. You want to share this information with people and try to go for pragmatic solutions. I mean, that's what it's all about, is trying to be as efficient as possible. Done correctly, sustainability will save resources, and one of those major resources that will save you is money. At Matrix here, we can help you. We've done a lot of work with this with our clients, and our goal is to make you successful, because we are only going to be successful if you are successful. And it will always be a team effort. Matrix was always going to want to partner up with you. If you expect us to just come into your facility and make it be sustainable, that's probably not going to work. We're going to need to work with you, and we'll be willing to do that to make you be as successful as we can. So that's pretty much what I have for the sustainability topic today. Appreciate everybody's time.